You think you know how Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk became titans of tech? The story you've heard is probably about brilliant, self-made guys coding in a garage. But that story leaves out the most important part, the brutal truth behind their success. Let's start with Bill Gates. His dad was a top national attorney. His mom sat on corporate boards. In fact, his mother served on a board with the CEO of IBM right around the time Microsoft needed a deal with them. And back in the late 60s, he was already coding at his exclusive private school, Lakeside. They had computer time because the PDA was wealthy enough to just buy it for their kids. Now picture Jeff Bezos. He didn't start in a garage. He grew up in Houston's super-rich River Oaks district. When he had the idea for Amazon, his parents casually handed him $250,000. Bezos himself told them there was a 70% chance they'd lose every penny of it. And Elon Musk? His mom was a famous model. His grandfather owned a private plane. Back in 1952. But here's the thing. Privilege gives you a head start, but it doesn't get you across the finish line. So let's dig into the real story of how Bill Gates pulled off one of the greatest business coups in history. The year is 1974. Gates is at Harvard, and his buddy Paul Allen is at Honeywell. The world runs on massive mainframe computers like the famous PDP-10 that Unix was built on. But Gates and Allen saw the future, a revolution of tiny microcomputers for everyone. And they knew their mission was to write the software for that revolution. One day, Allen is in Harvard Square and sees the cover of Popular Electronics magazine. On it is an ad for the Altair, the world's first microcomputer kit. He pays his 75 cents, grabs the magazine, and sprints to find Gates. This was it. Gates immediately gets on the phone with the founder of MIT's, Ed Roberts. He tells Roberts, "We have a basic interpreter for your Altair, and we're ready to show you." Here's the catch. They had absolutely nothing. No Altair. No basic interpreter. It was a total bluff. Roberts, flooded with calls, says, "First team to walk in my door with a working basic gets the contract." The race was on. Allen got to work building a simulator for the Altair on Harvard's PDP-10 mainframe. Meanwhile, Gates was literally sketching out the entire basic interpreter. On paper. For 8 straight weeks, they barely slept, coding day and night on the university's terminal. They'd collapse on the keyboard, wake up, and immediately start coding again. The Altair only had 4 kilobytes of memory. That's less than the text in a single email today. So they had to make their code unbelievably efficient, printing it out and spreading it on the floor to find ways to shrink it. Finally, in February 1975, they had it, a working basic interpreter that was just 3.2 kilobytes. Allen flies to New Mexico to demo it for Roberts. Mid-flight, he has a terrifying realization. He forgot the loader, the small piece of code that actually loads the main program into the computer's memory. So, on the plane, he handwrites 21 lines of pure machine code on a notepad to get it to work. He types it in, holds his breath. And the demo is a complete success. Roberts buys the license. But here's the first genius move. Gates insisted they didn't sell the software. They only licensed the rights to use it. They kept full ownership of their code. And just like that, later Microsoft, was born. Fast forward a few years. IBM, the king of mainframes, decides to build a personal computer. They get their CPU from Intel, the 8088 chip. But they need an operating system. Their first choice, a company called Digital Research, fumbles the meeting. So, IBM turns to Microsoft. Gates doesn't have an OS, but he says yes anyway. He then quietly goes to a small company, Seattle Computer Products, and buys their system. It was called QDOS, the Quick and Dirty Operating System. He paid just $50,000 for it. He polishes it up, renames it MS-DOS, and licenses it to IBM. And here's the second genius move. Gates made sure he kept the right to license MS-DOS to anyone else. IBM just wanted a working OS for their PC. They didn't care about the fine print. In May 1981, the IBM PC launches. It's an open system, so companies like Compaq, Dell, and HP start cloning it. And every single one of those clones needed an operating system. Suddenly, every major PC manufacturer in the world was paying Bill Gates for MS-DOS. He didn't just win a contract. He made Microsoft the heart of the entire personal computer industry. So what's the real story? There's four things. A privileged background that gave him access. Visionary insight to see that software was the future. A relentless, obsessive drive to seize an opportunity. And the strategic genius to own the code that would change the world. As Gates himself said, "I was lucky. Many others were in the same place. The difference was I had the opportunity to take action." If you like what you see, hit that like button and subscribe for more.